Hello again everyone, Melth here, with more of my Baldur's Gate 3 challenge run. Details of the challenge are in the YouTube video description. This time I'll be getting ambushed by 8 Super Devas, and then going to take on Mystic Carrion and get several of the most interesting and powerful items in the game. Watch out for spoilers throughout this run. Alright. So, last time I had done a special maneuver to battle both Lorroakan and Aelin at the top of Lorroakan's tower for maximum challenge, and then looted the secret items in the vaults beneath. But then when I came back through this portal, everyone in the store was hostile to me, including the civilian customers, seemingly. So, got to battle my way out of here. But first I'm going to get my way to this locked door before I can see any of them. And because I came through the portal surrounded by my own summons, I probably need to use a fly potion just to get past them and open the door. Okay. So, that got Astarion and Karlach and Minthara. Very good. So now the question is who to have open this door.
My turn.
That takes your action, of course. Karlach might be the least important person here, but I don't know what the DC is to open the door. That's manageable, I think. Okay, we'll have her give it a try. There we go. And the door is reverberating because she gave it a condition? Okay. Anyway.
Yes. In
that case, I think we next want to get probably a potion of speed set up on Astarion and Ballista and Minthara.
No choice but to keep going.
I guess I could have Skeleton 157 puncture that potion. It missed Minthara. That's not perfect. I do have plenty, so that won't be a big deal, but a little bit of a nuisance. Now if I stand here, is that enough range to Aura of Murder these guys? Yes and no. Okay, not both at once. So that's fine.
I've missed this.
We will go like so. And I think one shot here should do it. There we go. And then Lava Elemental down there and the Air Elemental are probably the biggest threats. Where's the Air Elemental? There it is. Okay. So I think we're next going to have Minthara fly over that direction and start applying Aura of Murder down there. She might need to use her click heals. And we'll avoid standing in the lava. There we go.
Time for a cup.
This might be an opportunity to do an Arrow of Many Targets too. I think I can count on my many summons to deal with that animated armor, especially given that it's not immune to necrotic, because it's very arbitrary when an empty suit of armor will be vulnerable or invulnerable to some things in this game. Is that... okay, there we go. 95% is acceptable. Okay, well that dispatched several random civilians. Will this bounce to the elemental this time? I'd rather be hitting those animated armors. Maybe if I target the elemental first, it would get them. Like it'll bounce in one direction, perhaps. That was more like it. Okay.
Well, so much for peace.
I think I want to try to get some of the finishers with Ballista here. That should be deadly, and that should be hefty damage at least. Okay. Well, we miss. I better turn off Cold the Weak, and then I'll just go for him like that. Okay. I've got another action now. So there's a Necromancer over there, and an animated armor, and a zombie. It would be like... it'd be overkill probably to many targets them, but I do have a lot of many targets arrows that I've hoarded over the course of the game. There's an animated armor over there. Civilians I'm not too concerned about. That guy at the top of the stairs I think my skeletons can handle, and then there's that one over there. Okay. So I need to have someone who's a decent attacker go over and deal with that guy. Maybe that will be you. guess we can turn that back on. And maybe direct one blast at the Necromancer if we can get to him. Oh, we do have this mage behind the counter, come to think, but I should make sure to get her as well. I don't know if she can actually cast spells, but she's not about to be able to. Okay. Takes care of them decently well. Got a skeleton to jump out. Going to start working on this animated armor.
Ready for battle.
Jumping is the hardest part here. I guess the Deva can get the finisher, because then it gets its bloodlust, if so. Or not. That's fine too.
On your command.
Okay, there we go. So who's left? There's Cordrain the Necromancer. There's an injured animated armor over there. And there's the one remaining full HP animated armor, and then there's just a bunch of civilians that I don't think in character we really would be fighting. Like, I can't imagine them fighting, let alone us killing them. I bet the Cambion can finish that guy off. There we are. Then, of course, we've got Ace Blasts available. Did that zombie not have the normal zombie ability to just get back from the dead if not killed with radiant damage? Selling defective zombies here, Cordrain. Sentence is death, apparently. Okay, I think that just leaves civilians, so I'll get to work on knocking those guys out. I think Aura of Murder also works as Aura of Aggravated Assault with Battery, so this will probably knock the guy out very efficiently. There we go. That'll show you, ball.
Watch this.
I'm sorry. I've been banned from these premises due to...
I guess I might now need to fight the Flaming Fist 2 or something. I'm not actually going to go.
I am not alive and cannot be killed, unlike your unfortunate self.
I do enjoy that.
And thank you for shopping.
Anyway, I'm gonna stay in here because I want to loot the place. I guess I've lost it as a store forever. Well, no Flaming Fist bursts in, so I don't need to continue the fight, seemingly. I probably will need to kill Clank out there or something, otherwise I'm pretty confident I'll just get booted out of here at some point. There's nothing to see here. Okay. Well. Oh wow, color spray. That was bad in Act 1. How it has fallen since...
You're being arrested
Oh,
for theft.
being arrested.
Defense.
You can see through walls. Alright, we'll talk our way out of this one. There's no sense doing generic, easy flaming fist
Feel
fights.
free to
Now get out of here.
Best be on my way.
Wait, what? What are you guys doing in here? Okay.
They should all be running.
What a weird set of occurrences this is. Wait, did you just walk through that portal? The one that kills you? Okay. Roland's room as the apprentice, I guess. And it has the path to Karsus, so that's the clue to the terrible puzzles down in the vaults where we've already been. Other than that, I guess we'll just continue looting things. And then we'll do that Devas battle I've been talking about, now that we have a clear space where we won't have a bunch of civilians pulled in.
You're being arrested for theft. If you have a
Whatever. That's some terrible accuracy for these water myrmidons.
Let's spill some blood.
Okay, who else is fighting me? Oh, that guy. Okay.
let me strike.
This feels good. All's well that ends.
Alright, are we done with this silliness?
As it could have.
Now, this, I mentioned, is a very interesting, unique scroll. It's the only scroll of Flame Blade in the game. In fact, I think the only scroll of any kind of druid spell in the game. So that's pretty neat. You can't learn it, unfortunately, on your wizards because it is a druid-only scroll. This hat's... I think we got another copy of it from Balthazar's room or something like that. Likewise with the gold wormling staff and the Winter's clutches. Lots of duplicate magic items that were okay back in Act 1 or whatever. Alright, so last time I got a number of powerful new items that I should put into use. Chief among them, I think, is the staff Marco Heshkir. So let's give that first to Minthara. What's great about it is that it gives you this arcane battery feature to cast something for free. Now, it'll say that that's once per long rest, but it turns out, unlike many item abilities, it's once per long rest per character. So that's pretty darn powerful. I'll give it to Minthara first, and then I'm going to teach her the new spell that we got, Scroll of Bestial Communion. That lets basically a non-cleric, or a wizard, get a Deva. Devas are pretty darn good, so we'll go ahead and learn that spell, and then with our spellbook we can go ahead and equip it. And we'll go ahead and cast it for free. Better give it a long strider, of course. And I think we'll also have this Deva, unlike our other one that has a Bloodlust elixir, this one is going to drink a Cloud Giant elixir, I would say. Because we gave the other one the Hag Strength elixir boost, basically. But this guy doesn't have that, so he'll benefit more from the Cloud Giant one, I would say. That reminds me, this Raven did survive, so we'll go ahead and have it drink up a Vigilance elixir. It's rather at low HP, which reminds me the next thing we want to do is probably give that staff to Karlach, and then we'll have Karlach use its spell battery. And Karlach can then cast Hero's Feast, I think. So that gives our whole army here some pretty major perks. It's especially beneficial for 1 HP guys like Quoth the Raven there. Our other Ravens are looking pretty brawny at this point because they have both Aid and Hero's Feast now. If we get another free cast later on, which we'll be able to once we go to Raphael's house, I'll probably recast Aid at that point and get everyone boosted back up. But for now, I can't do that. I only have a limited number of those free spells. I could get one on Ballista, but there's not much I really want to cast for this high level spell slots right now. I guess I could get myself a Flying Ghoul instead of Skeletons, but I can't get 3 Flying Ghouls, so that's definitely not worth it in my opinion. So I think for now, he doesn't really have a use for that, and neither does Astarion, really. So what we can do with Karlach, maybe after the short rest and after damaging myself back to the point where I'll have Lovitar's Love active, I might then use it to get a free cast of a high level Armor of Agathis, something like that on Ballista. Then I'm going to use Kareska's Favor over here to buff Karlach. Now, you'd think I'd want to give her the lightning damage bonus, but the way I see it, her lightning bolts are already basically doing max damage and killing most things anyway, so that doesn't really help her that much, and there's no good lightning cantrip for her to cast. So, turn by turn, she's more likely to be casting out Fire Bolts and Rays of Frost. Firebolt is probably what I'll go with here. Many things resist fire, but when I'm just trying to get a kill with a cantrip efficiently, this might be the pick for that reason. It's not that big a deal though, she doesn't do that many cantrip attacks and isn't that big a part of my team's turn-by-turn offense. She's really more of a control caster and summoner and so forth. And of course a major AoE nuker. Then I've recently learned that the Ball Amulet is just bugged in honor difficulty and does nothing. So let's swap that out for, I guess, one of these elemental augmentation ones. They're not that helpful because cantrips, again, are not a big portion of the damage that I deal, but, it's better than literally nothing due to a bug. I guess Minthara and Karlach should both learn a Dethrone apiece. We'll seldom want to use Dethrone, but when we get the Staff of Cherished Necromancy from Mystic Carrion, it will have some utility once in a while. And then there's Artistry of War. That's a very powerful magic missile type spell. You can only use it once per short rest even after you've learned it, so it's not that great on this kind of run, but someone should learn it. I think I'll give it to Minthara probably, because Karlach is more often going to be spending her actions on major blast effects in important combats, but it's not that big a deal because it's once per short rest, which for me is only a couple times for the rest of this entire series. Alright, now I mentioned that I want to do a short rest because we have some resources to get back, like Karlach getting back her channeled divinities, or Astarion getting back his symbiotic entities, and things like that. But that also will trigger a really big, really difficult fight. Because my whole party, in order to manufacture this difficult fight, have Castigated by Divinity, because we stole from that temple way back when. So, the instant we short rest, each of us will spawn 2 super powerful Devas to fight us. Now, my Devas are already pretty darn dangerous, as you can see here, but theirs are going to be more than twice as good, because they get extra attack and more hit points, more stats across the board in various ways. They're very, very dangerous. So, 8 of those at once would be pretty tough, especially because they'll get a surprise round against us. We'll all be surprised. So they can just pulverize my army here if I'm not careful. Now, I could of course trivialize that, or, not really trivialize it, but at least negate the ambush by giving all my main characters Elixirs of Vigilance so that they just go first and are immune to surprise. But that feels kind of cheesy. Likewise, I won't be, before this, pre-buffing with things like Bless and Fowler Louvre and things like that. It's meant to be a surprising character, so I'll let it play out as a surprising character and deal with it in whatever way I can. So, I think there's nothing for it but to just hit that rest button and deal with the consequences. Do we want to have Karlach get the attack of opportunity? It won't help that much, but I think it's worth going for, sure. Yeah, take that too. Okay, so, having a look. Devas have pretty formidable initiative, so it's not a surprise that it I take that back. It's a surprise that I beat Minthar with plus 11 initiative. She must have min-rolled and must have max-rolled. So yeah, that's a bit of a problem. We've got, let's see, a David there. David there. David there. So those guys are clustered at least. David there. David over there. And, okay. And 2 Cambions. So, apparently, if someone is a cleric of an evil god, which Minthar is locked into being a cleric of Lolth, that, I guess, spawns Cambions rather than Devas. But similar outcome, I think.
Ready for another round?
Alright. So, the Deva that's on top of her is right there. If you walked, you would be just clobbered with a million dudes smacking you for piles of radiant damage. I can't tell, though, where is Minthar relative to you? Minthar is over there. I want to get some haste going here, basically. So I want to see who I can splash that onto. There's a star, and I can give it to him as well, I guess. But not to many of my other guys, seemingly. Because, yeah, Minthar is over there, Baldur is over there. 2 people might have to do, plus maybe I can get a Water Myrmidon in on that. I'm not sure that's close enough. We will see what we can do.
Let's cook with fire, baby.
Who else got hasted over there? Hope it was one of my guys rather than one of them. Yeah, it's one of my ravens. Okay. So you've got a haste now. That's going to help. You still have the problem of being surrounded by dangerous enemies. We could have you Misty Step out of there. That might be the correct play here. That's a hostile Deva, that's a hostile Deva, hostile Deva, hostile Deva, and then there's the Cambions over there. Okay, I think we better have you Misty Step out, yeah. Kind of running out of those, but I think we better use them because this is going to be one of the tougher fights in the game. Then we want to AoE crowd control them, but Devas, although they don't tell you anywhere, are secretly immune to a ton of effects that, like, you'd expect to work on them. Like, Planar Binding is canonically meant to work on Devas. It's like one of the main things you do it for. It says it works on Celestials, it's not a charm effect, so it should work on them, but it doesn't. They are likewise secretly immune to all charm effects and all fear effects, and that's a lot of the control spells in the game. But I've mentioned before the importance of being able to target multiple different saving throws. And one good spell for that job, I think, is Stinking Cloud. So, we are going to get out a Scroll of Stinking Cloud here, and Karlach is going to cast that. It's going to debuff some of my guys too. So, yeah, we'll go like that. So, you are nauseous, 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 nauseous. You're not over there, and you're not over there, and you're not over there. So we have 3 that are a problem. Now, I could, at considerable expense at this point, cast a high-level command on them. Oh, I can't do that though, actually, because I ended up activating my Ring of the Arcane Trickster. So, therefore, all enchantment-type spells which command is get forced to be bonus actions, which for me this one time is not very good. So, yeah, that's a bit of an issue. I don't think my other control effects will work on them, really. They can still do attacks of opportunity, by the way, because, you know, they lost their actions, but not their reactions, basically. So you gotta watch out for that. Well, that was not that effective.
It's hot in here.
Come on, go. That's not very effective. Well, my chance of success is not as good, but I could also do something like throw a Karabassan's gift at them, I guess. So we'll try that. They made their saving throws. It's not shocking, although it is disappointing. Okay. Well, you guys pass your turn. Main characters are surprised. You have to pass your turn. So, you're nauseous, you're nauseous, you're nauseous. But you are not nauseous, you are not nauseous, and you are not nauseous. So you guys are the main threat here. If I do a... let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 guys. So a 3rd level cast of command, maybe telling them to grovel. 70%. Can I boost that up in any way? Let's see how it goes first, and then adapt if we fail on one of them. 98 on that one, okay. Yeah, I like those odds decently well. If it doesn't work, I might need to get out haste or something. There we go. Okay. Can I hit you from next to you or something like that? Who's still able to attack? And my armor class on Menthara is not great, though she does have shield. So I do need to get out of melee. I'm going to do that. Campion's not that strong, so yeah, we'll go with that. And then you being prone won't be able to retaliate against me, so I will just shoot you, and then I guess I can reaction poke for a little bit. And then back up over here. Does that still keep you in aura of murder? Yeah, though I'd rather be over here for aura of murder, wouldn't I? Alright, we'll see. How many people are in aura of murder there? That's my deva. Those are campions. Okay, yeah, never mind. I'm going to be back over here. Aura of murdering them. Okay. And you, I guess, are at risk of attacks of opportunity. So let's have you go invisible and get out of there. Then maybe you can puncture a potion bottle on a future turn or something. Okay. Nauseous, 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 or commanded. Successfully took those guys out for a round. Now, they'll be back up, so we better be ready to deal with them. You can be made nauseous despite just being like a tree guy. That was ineffective. Okay. I think we better blind these guys or something so that they are easier to take out. I say as if that was easy to do. Well, you can have both surface effects and cloud effects in the same area. They're highly likely to fail that because their strength is good, but I guess I will, if it lets me, try it. Come on. Okay, well that was only allowing me to attempt against one guy. That's really not great. Oh well. Okay. All my dudes are still stunned. Those guys should mostly become nauseous on their turn. Just in case, I could try to pull them all into it with a black hole, maybe. That could probably pull them deep into the cloud. Or it could not, you know, pull them. I guess that's a possibility that I should have accounted for. The chance of it just not doing what it's supposed to do.
Hungry for the slaughter.
But people that are slowed don't get to do reactions. So that worked out okay. We better take out these guys that are not in the stinking cloud first. Yeah, we'll hit that one. I don't think there's a slaying arrow for Celestials as far as I'm aware. So we'll have to make do with what we've got over here. We're really spending a lot of resources on this fight, but it is one of the game's hardest. So there we go. Alright. One down. And it gives me back my action. You are also not under control, so I've got to deal with you one way or another. I guess we can do that to you. Okay. Then if Ballista can get the kill on you, that would be good. Which, if I turn that off, he probably will. Great, so that gives him back his action. So now I can turn Cold the Weak back on. I think you're in the cloud, I think. maybe not. You guys are less of a threat. Cambions are just kind of weak in comparison, as it turns out. I wish I could have gotten 8 Devas, but I think that would have been impossible with what I know now. Because Minthara seems as hard-coded to be a... Wow, that's a lot of misses. Yeah, I think Minthara is hard-coded to be a cleric of Lolth if you have ever be a cleric of anything. So given that I had my take a cleric level, I would not have an option with Minthara in the party to have 8 Devas. You know, I know their armor class is high, but I still feel that these guys are disappointing a bit. I could take out that one next, just given that he is the one that's interrupting my initiative, and thereby posing issues that way. Or I could make sure that one is knocked fully into the cloud with a repelling blast, because I'm not sure. I know that one was on the edge of it and wasn't affected, I think. That won't actually push him in. Okay. Fine, fine. Rethinking things again. You are that guy over there. Any targeting I can do that would work on you. No? Okay. We'll take what we can get, I guess. No, you can... Oh, you did fall over. Okay, that works for me.
Got this.
Then Karlak must maintain concentration above all. We can't have Minthara come over there to apply Aura of Murder because that guy is still up. So, yeah, that's a little bit of a nuisance.
This is gonna feel good.
Is there a way I can target a fireball them because it's free? Like, it's not great damage, but it's some damage. And, yeah, as I said, it's free. I'd love to do a wall of fireball or stuck there, but that's concentration, so I can't do that.
I can feel death's cold grip.
And I guess, again, we will fire off a many-target arrow and just do some damage to as many guys as we can. Another fireball, though it's costly, is tempting at this point. How many scrolls of that do I have? Yeah, okay, with 17 fireballs... You know what? Fine. I'll be a big spender, actually. We will do our chain lightning at that guy. Oh no, don't run into the cloud and... Okay, she's immune, but that was dumb. Okay, they're slowed, so they can't do anything there. And that did push them. Are they still pushed around in the cloud? I hope so. Looks like they still are. Alright, you're nauseous. That's good. We won't find out if you're nauseous till your turn, but I'm pretty sure that my spell save DC is so high that, given that I'm targeting one of their weakest saving throws, I'm pretty confident it's guaranteed. Especially if they have reverberation on any of them, but they don't all have that. The Cambions are on the loose, so I think I should take out those. Now you can take out that Cambion, I'm pretty confident. Which gives you your Bloodlust Elixir, which you can use... Can you hit that guy? I don't know who you're next to. Yeah, okay. New Deva. Let's see how you can do. You know what would be terrible? If I screwed up and accidentally hit one of my own guys without even noticing it. Because they, look similar.
Wise move.
Okay, does that give you Aura of Murder? No, it doesn't. It only gives it to you. Can I, scoot over there and apply it to everyone without losing my... No? Okay. I better use my action first. I wish I knew if I needed the command here. I just don't know, though. Okay. Aura of Murder. We'll take it. Nauseous. 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 Okay. Plan is working. Successfully controlling them. So... There we go. That's some good damage. You know what else I think works? I'm pretty confident that if I'm in the Stinking Cloud, I count as being, in darkness against them. Yeah, I'm attacking from shadow. Oh, of course, that's my own guy. I better be careful about that. But I'm attacking from shadows, therefore I have advantage against them. So that's pretty beneficial for me. Because, like, their armor class is hard to beat. Okay, we've got lots of tries to blind these guys. There we go. Is that safe? Do they have attack spell? Oh, no, no! Okay. That could have cost me a skeleton or severely injured it because they do bludgeoning damage and radiant, so they're super effective. So I kind of had to spend a resource there, I guess, to fix that little mistake. That's my own Deva, that's a dumb mistake. Okay. Okay. That's an enemy Deva. Why did she take fire damage there? I'm not sure why she was on fire. Oh, I know why. It's a downside of Marco Hesker. The fire one gives you heat, which is a terrible ability. So I need to bear that in mind. Maybe cold would have been a better choice. Okay, still, I think we've got the situation mostly under control at this point. I think I cast a lot of resources, but I think that we're coming out ahead here. Let's shoot down the blind one first, maybe. And then I will be invisible. That will make it easier to hit this next guy, who's the one interrupting my initiative. He's an aura murder, right? Yeah. We love murdering angels in this party. Suddenly. Man, they've got a lot of hit points, though. There we go. Another... Was that not the Deva that I thought it was? It was an enemy Deva, at least, but it wasn't the one I thought I was going for. Okay. So, there are still plenty of enemies on the loose, then, it seems. That's my Deva. That's the enemy Deva. So... we'll go for you like that. Do you resist fire or something? Why was that damage so bad? No, they don't resist fire. It must have just been a very bad roll. Yeah, wow, okay. Alright. I'm trying to soften up to the point that Ballista can get the kill.
It is never easy.
Which I think we're probably at that point now. Given that we have Cold Weak especially. Yeah, I overkilled it, in fact. Okay, that's fine. It means I didn't get my Bloodlust, but that is fine. I got the kill. We're down to just one of these dangerous Devas left. And he's still in, like, the nausea cloud, so that is still good. Oh, gotta be careful who I'm targeting here, though. That almost looks good. That looks good, okay. Well, we'll see if we actually hit. Yeah, we got a hit. Okay. Every little bit counts at this point.
I thirst for combat.
Okay. Well, I've got my own Devas near them. No. I've got my other own Devas near them. That's more like it.
Ready for battle.
If I commence stabbing now, what are my odds of securing the kill that way? Pretty bad now, I guess. Okay. Okay, but he is nauseous, so that's fine. Yeah, we've got this. Okay. I think that was about the most resources that is spent on, like, pretty much any fight here. But a job well done in the end. Yeah, we need to fix that heat thing. Alright, well, it took a long time, but I have injured Ballista back down to low enough HP that Lobitar's love is reactivated. I've used the free cast from Marco Hesker to put a stronger Armor of Agathis on him. I've given Astarion back his symbiotic entity form, and so forth. So, With that, I think we're ready to head out and confront Mystic Carrion, which is a pretty fun little quest line, and notable also in that you can get some really powerful items up front in it, which is why I thought I would tackle that in this video, and then go on to the bigger stuff like the Temple of Shar or Raphael's house in future videos, because I probably don't have time to do one of those things after finishing up the Devas battle there. Alright, so if we take this pathway down to the waterfront, I think Philgrave's mansion is that building. And I don't know what happened to Philgrave. Probably something bad, but that is where Mystic Carrion is. There's also a ruined bell tower there, I think, which is pretty interesting. I don't know what, if anything, its significance is, just like with this supposedly defeated Seal Watcher, they're being labeled as defective. But anyway, you can find like a person's been sleeping in it, but other than that, I think it's just a ruined bell tower with no further information that I'm aware of. I think there was a murder there, and the kid didn't see the murder of the parents or something like that. Another quake. There could be a Wagon fight over there, but we'll do that later on. You know, it just occurred to me, I have a quest marker following me on the map because I have the book Tharkiate Codex here, which I guess I need to read to unlock the Necromancy of Thay fully. Now, doing that will give me a penalty to my constitution, but I can fix that with Remove Curse now that the Devas have been dealt with. The reason I couldn't do that before is if you do Remove Curse rather than doing a short rest, you only get one Deva, which would be an easier fight and therefore not what I wanted. So we'll read this, then we can Remove Curse easily. I kind of wish they'd shown that the pages were covered in symbols like they kind of did with the Necromancy of Thay itself, but oh well. I don't really get what in the world the connection would be between Thay and this Tharkiate Codex. Thar, which I assume the Tharkiate Codex is named after, is just some region with orcs in it, and orcs have never been any good at magic, so I have no idea. Nor, as I recollect, is it close to Thay, so yeah, just zero idea what the connection is there between Necromancy of Thay and the Tharkiate Codex. So we'll just go ahead and cast Remove Curse on ourselves. Welp, that gave me back hit points, which got me out of Lobitar's love mode, and fixing that will require burning through my Armor of Agathis and wasting a lot of real life time. I guess I'll set about doing that, but man, that's annoying. Alright, well, that was time consuming, and I lost some hit points on Karlach as well as having to spend my free cast, but I'm back to having Lobitar's love active. I don't know what's up with this guard, whether he's been bribed, or is enchanted, or is an idiot, but he just refuses to acknowledge that there is a horde of undead in that nearby house. Like 20 of them.
Just the drains. Nothing to concern yourself with.
Yeah.
You can smell that.
You'd think that mummies wouldn't smell rotten, but there are just piles of corpses in there and ghouls and things like that too. There's not, as far as I'm aware, any way to interact with this surprisingly weak druid, but as best I can guess, what's going on with the tree is that it's blighted because there's so much necromancy nearby or something like that. But we can't actually do anything to save it as far as I'm aware. Anyway, if we go down there, we can... Oh, they're talking about Gortash, okay. If we go down there, we can get our way into where Mystic Carrion is. He's a fun little boss fight, especially on honor difficulty, although he's rather buggy. I failed it. Embarrassing.
Another step.
Okay, so in we go to Mystic Carrion. I didn't mean to pick that up. There we go. Into Mystic Carrion's parlor. And we can stroll on in and have a chat. Oh, did I remember to actually read Necromancy of Thay? Okay.
The book radiates.
Just remember to actually read that. So, the bonuses you get from this seem powerful on paper, but they're pretty terrible in practice, I would say. So one of them is you get 20 temporary hit points, which, you know, that would be pretty nice in, like, Act 2 or something like that, maybe. But at this point, there are so many sources of massive amounts of temporary hit points that getting 20 per long rest is basically nothing. Having Steep with Blitz there is not the best for me. I guess I have to inspiration this. How embarrassing. Anyway, so that part's not really too impressive. It's something, I guess. But then, the one that they ruined that used to be good was Dance Macabre, which lets you summon a whole bunch of ghouls. Pretty good. I mean, I liked having lots of summons, as if that wasn't apparent. But the trouble is, they're no longer controllable. They're now just green units that you can't do anything with. So you end up with them being, first of all, like usually pretty worthless because their initiative's not great, they're melee units and they walk, so they can basically never contribute anything anyway. And then also, worse yet, when they die, which they will because you can't control them, so they'll blunder into traps or things like that, they explode. And they can chain reaction and explode each other. So they'll probably do way more damage to your own party than they would ever do to the enemy. So, less than worthless, I would say. I will never use them again. Alright, in we go. Let's have a chat with Mystic Carrion over here. It's apparently not supposed to be obvious that he's undead. His name is Carrion, and he's clearly undead. I don't even know, but from dialogue with other people later on, supposedly he's not known to be dead by everyone or something.
You have read the Necromancy of Thay.
He'll be impressed for this one line, and then after that he'll go back to treating you with contempt, basically.
Of Mystic Carrion.
Anyway, we can buy a few things from him. So, sure, we'll take that, I guess. He sells various mostly necromancy spells. Here it looks like a few other ones too. This hat is really good, just +2 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls is pretty substantial. So yeah, we'll take that. And then, this armor. They ruined this. When I started this run, I picked the Spore Druid as one of my party members basically just because I wanted to use this armor. Because if you have Symbiotic Entity, you can then do Haste Spores. And it used to be infinite uses, so just infinite use Haste Spores for this high summon quantity party would be amazing. Build defining, really. But now it's once per long rest that you can do that, and so that's worthless for me. But for my challenge run rules, I didn't want to respec to have a totally different build, so I stuck with it. If I was starting fresh today, I would not be doing this whole thing with a Spore Druid. Anyway, I won't bother buying it because it's been ruined. I'll just buy the hat, and we'll call it good there.
That depends on what torments you.
Anyway, so I guess he's most interested in money and luxuries, apparently. And, you know, gets rich people to give him money, and then he kind of tricks them usually. Doesn't give them exactly what they thought they'd be getting.
I am a spirit, medium. One who wanders the hazy boundaries of mortality.
This is, I guess, a silly sounding sales pitch here.
And the knowledge of the dead.
I think Bolus is not too impressed.
Aptitude in that regard.
Who knows what he's talking about? His regular cards are just like rich, dumb people, basically. And we're swimming in money at this point.
Only a very select few, taken from the highest reaches.
I guess we are, you know, Novo Reach, so doesn't quite count for his purposes, perhaps. But if all he really wants is money and luxury, we could provide that.
More generous in paying for them. Whatever the customer desires, or at least whatever they can afford.
Anyway, he does tie into the Oscar Fevre's quest, and I guess I'll do that. It's a god-awful quest. It's not as bad as it used to be, but I guess it does involve fights, so I'm obligated to do it for my challenge, even if they are pretty easy fights.
All according to their merit. You are not deserving of such a gift. Unless you've some other purpose here, our consultation is at... Unless, of course, you are looking for a job.
No, we're not looking for a job. But we will do that quest, but why would we be looking for a job from some random creepy mummy? Anyway, we'll hear him kind of enslaving and tormenting spirits in here, so we'll attack him for that reason, I guess. You know what? I'll talk to him and initiate combat through conversation. A bunch of mummies will spawn in, so it's going to be a lot tougher than it looks right this second.
Again, my client list is full.
Okay, so let's talk about him. He can be pretty formidable, though he is a mage, and like most mages, fairly fragile. Don't be fooled by this immunity. It's to non-magical attacks. Like, what are you even doing having non-magical attacks in Act 3? So, I don't worry too much about that. He does have, these features here that just kind of make him not as much of a pushover as you'd usually expect him to be, but it doesn't make that big a difference. Now, there's legendary action. It can be formidable depending on whether or not it just happens to bug this time, basically. So, when he activates it, it does two things. Number one, in an area of effect, it makes his guys, including himself, invincible to all damage. Now, you're supposed to be able to remove this with Remove Curse or Greater Restoration, but sometimes it just won't allow you to do so. So that's a problem when that happens. And then it also causes this, which, gives a lot of annoying debuffs to your guys. Now, we are immune to the fear part of that because we have had a Hero's Feast. We'll go ahead and fire off an arrow of many targets here, I think. He's not using it this time. One thing I should mention also, it's not listed here, but he has an ability that lets him, if one of your undead attacks, he can no saving throw take control of that undead for the rest of the fight, and then after the fight, your undead just dies. So like, best case scenario, you lose an undead. Worst case, you have to fight your own undead, then you lose it. There is no winning. Every time one of your undead attacks, it dies. It's supposed to be a reaction, but as far as I can tell, it's bugged and it's free. You can cast it infinite numbers of times, so don't even have any undead attack while he's alive, basically.
Hungry for the slaughter.
Alright, let's go ahead and fire off maybe an arrow of undead slaying. We've got a decent number of those, and he's one of the more formidable undead left in the game. And sure, we'll fire that at you. So he didn't use his legendary action this time. It would have been okay if he did, because we were immune to the fear. We can do either Remove Curse or Greater Restoration to remove the invincibility from him and then bring him down, but it would have been a bit of a nuisance at least. Yeah, I might need to do some haste here. We'll see about that. I guess we will have Minthara take a stroll over there and fire off more many target arrows. I am burning through those pretty fast, but these mummies are fairly sturdy and there's a lot of them. If it's only hitting 3 guys, not 4, that's not quite as good a deal, so maybe I should stop that. Yeah, we'll fire that off at you. That might get a kill. Not quite. That's fine.
My victims await.
I can probably do Ice Blast to bring that guy down. These mummies don't have great armor class at all, as I recollect. Yeah, stand on the table, and then we'll see if we can Ice Blast there without hitting Minthara. There we go. And then we can probably Ice Blast that pair over there, too. So up onto the table we go. And then I want to get
on my feet.
Some kills to activate Bloodlust Elixirs. You have a Bloodlust Elixir. Your odds to kill that guy are not great currently, but we can make them pretty great, I think. Oh, we can just take out that guy Olnar. A lot of the undead in here are named after, bones and body parts and things, I think. So that's probably why he has that name. I guess we could blind you. Or not. Okay. Now I think this guy is likely to secure the kill. There we go. That takes care of Sacred Defiance. Not that that one matters all that much. Clobbered. And let's see. Minthara. If you run over there, that makes those guys vulnerable to pierce, so my skeletons can get to work. Do not run over there. Come on, go. Skeletons can get to work efficiently then, I think. No, they're immune to necrotic, so not that efficiently, actually.
Still breathing?
Okay. So in that case, I should be able to take this one out with one blast, and that one out certainly with one blast plus Cold the Weak, and then I can damage that guy. Nice. Then I'm going to triple blast you, which should bring you down as well. There we go. So that leaves 2 of these guys. Now, I've used a lot of my attackers. I could do a haste at this point, and then I'd be fine for sure in terms of bringing those guys down. There are undead upstairs. I don't want to pull them into the fight because it's kind of annoying to deal with staircases. They're not like challenging because they will be 2 turns away from getting to me, but then I'll just be locked in turn miss mode to navigate the staircase. That's a nuisance.
Gods, it's hot in here.
Okay. We might be able to do a firebolt for decent damage because they're vulnerable to fire. That was some pretty unimpressive fire damage, however.
Ready for battle.
A little better there.
I feel death's cold grip.
You still have a shot. Okay. Who else does? You've got a bonus action. I guess you could do like a spike growth, and the undead mummy probably can't get into us, or an entangle on it. Especially if we close the door in its face. I think that would work.
Turn someone inside out.
You can't attack as I walk by. Oh, because you're dazed, that's why. Okay, so we'll just shoot that guy. And then we will have the Dryad throw out a spike growth over there, perhaps.
Let's spill some blood.
And we close the door, and now it can't do very much to us. There we go, that took care of that easily enough.
Easy these days. No choice but to keep going. Done.
Okay.
Creatures like Carrion do not die easily.
So the reason we did that, of course, is that we can now loot a very powerful and fun item off of his body. This item, the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. It's quite powerful. So the main thing about it that's really good, that used to be even better, but it's still really good, is just when you kill a hostile creature with a spell, which could include a cantrip or a powerful spell of any kind, you can then get life essence, which makes your next necromancy spell free. So that lets you basically cast something like Circle of Death or even Dethrone as if they were cantrips, basically, as long as you can get a kill with some other spell in the interim and then do it again. So that's really, really good for making one of your guys that has Circle of Death on their spell list become suddenly a very strong AoE blaster. So we're happy to have that. And you can have the Bless Staff, because we'll certainly still want that once in a while. So, next time we'll continue with this quest, we'll meet Mr. Carrion's escaped servant, and then we'll probably go to the Shard Temple if we have time for that. Thank you for watching, everyone. And a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. The Irreverent Reverend, Master Knight DH, Jackie, Enlino, Travis, Andrew Curzon, Trubsy, Oliver, Cronish, Jago, DK in DK, Gregory, Broken Box, Jenna M, Just Becca, Jack, Marcus the Carcass, Nubiana, Discord Colossus, Nicholas Schmuck, Kostya Nesterovich, Frederick Brune, Robin, Stefan Van Zyl, Eddie, Mina, Ali Kasamoglu, Skylar Sauce, Nick Myers, Emp Ninjas, Previn A, Chupatan, Diabetic Cat, Marvin Fang, Max, Afro Zamurai, Step Back Too Deadly, Lodestone, Big Mars, Brad, IJ23, Rodrigo Lopez Dato, Kevin Ditchide, Silent, Eldritch, Jake Watson, and a name that starts with sword emojis. Have a great day, everyone.